Wow, okay. So it's been a while since I've done a tier list, and I really enjoy making tier lists. They come with a lot of depth and stuff like that. So I just sort of want to rank TV shows and movies of Star Wars since, of course, Book of Boba Fett has officially ended. I just wanted to do a tier list as well as I am extremely, and I do mean extremely, excited for the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. What's that? This is the Empire Strikes Back, so that's yeah. It's not sorted. I guess I forgot to sort it. Oh wow, that sorted perfectly. Yeah, okay. I want to rank it from prequels to the original trilogy to sequels to spin-offs to shows like that in that exact order. So we're starting off with the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace is a solid B tier. This is exactly, and I mean exactly, the default Star Wars movie should be. This movie had much less politics as the other ones, thankfully, and it had some iconic scenes and lines. I'm not going to pull up any of the lines right now, but I will try to voice act them. Because, you know me, I love voice acting, even though I'm not one of them, and that is not what I plan on doing. Either way, here we go. Uh, Now this is racing. Yeah, that's really the only iconic line I can really say from this movie. That's really it. Attack of the Clones is the easiest F tier in my entire life. This movie is awful. It's boring. It is very boring. From my rewatch of literally all the Star Wars movies, and yes, I rewatched literally all of the Star Wars movies just for a school project. Of course, my English school projects at the start of this year were crazy. So yeah, of course, then we have Revenge of the Sith, right? That's this one. Star Wars Rots. The first and easiest S tier in my entire life because it's full of memes and it's just the dumbest thing ever. And the politics ain't that bad. Unlike episode 2, which was full of politics. This movie, not only just for the memes, but it's still got some amazingly iconic scenes that I will love until the day I die. Okay, A New Hope. This is an easy B tier. Again, it's probably much better than The Phantom Menace. I really can only say that for the not the original version, but the updated versions that are on Disney Plus right now. As honestly, these movies, I don't know how bad they would look if they weren't enhanced for Disney Plus and stuff like that. Because my eyes sort of hurt after watching this movie specifically, which is why it's only it's B tier instead of A tier with The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back had some really iconic scenes and will go down as some of one of the best Star Wars things. And don't worry, I know like 4 out of the 5 movies I've placed have so far been in relatively good tiers, and the sixth movie would probably be there too. But don't worry, some of these movies are and TV shows are awful, or I just haven't seen them yet. And of course, this will be ranked on the episodes I have seen, because I have seen some of these shows, but stopped because, it wasn't very good. Though maybe, and yes, maybe I should grant, per se, Star Wars Rebels a second chance, as I loved Clone Wars. It was impeccable. It was amazing. But we'll get into Clone Wars later. Of course, Star Wars Return of the Jedi is really the next A tier. It was amazing of how much they did back then and how much they redid for these movies. The original trilogy will rest as a original trilogy from here on out. Thank you for I've completed all the prequels and original trilogies. Time to get into the bad movies. Easy C tier. Force Awakens. Force Awakens was actually okay. When I go back to look at it, it's like, that wasn't the worst experience of my life. It was sort of a waste of time, yeah, but it wasn't absolutely awful that I'd have to say, ew, I'm not going to watch this movie ever again. Or, wow, that was a waste of my time. This movie was solid C, but probably low C. I mean high C, sorry. Or, low B. But I say C just because I think it deserves its place there. The Last Jedi. Absolute F. This is even worse than Episode 2. The reason is they completely messed up literally everything. They decided to make Ben Solo actually have a reason to be evil. That Luke Skywalker was going to kill him, which, again, just doesn't sound like something Luke Skywalker would do. But then again, I don't know. It's a time gap, and it it honestly doesn't deserve to be really a movie. And that brings us into the movie that's even worse, The Rise of Skywalker. This movie is even worse because, again, they can't seem to get anything right. Instead of making Finn the secondary character who was, he was okay in Force Awakens, they decided to throw him out the window and just make him say nothing. They also decided to do that with Poe Dameron, Chewbacca. Literally every single important character from Force Awakens and Last Jedi have now become throwaway side characters, other than Rey and freaking Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren actually got good in this movie compared to the last whiny phase he had. He was actually pretty okay. But of course, that leads us into our next good movie. A tier, Rogue One. I personally didn't like Rogue One when I first saw it, but now, seeing the importance of Rogue One, it just feels sad that this movie right here is getting a TV show. Because I don't think it should. This movie was a one-time movie. You do not need to explain the explanation. That's like saying, here's a cheeseburger. It is delicious because blah, 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 blah. And the reason I find it delicious is because blah, 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 blah. Like, you don't need to explain the explanation. And that's why I'm worried about the new Star Wars show. It is an explanation of the explanation that was for a very small thing. How did they get the plans? Well, here's an explanation. I can say that is now valid. Its own full movie? It was still a pretty good movie, though. And that is the opposite of what I can say for Solo, our next F tier. This movie was bad. Can I tell you that I remember this movie perfectly? No, because whenever I try to watch this movie, I fall asleep. Literally. I have fallen asleep almost every time I've watched this movie, other than in theaters, where some of my other family members fell asleep. This movie is bad because it is so boring and it takes forever to get to the action. And then when the action comes in, it's like not even good action. Like John Wick is all action. That's John Wick. But then the little story bits, yeah, they're not really good. That's why John Wick relies on its action. Star Wars sort of does that. Star Wars relies on its storytelling and action if their storytelling isn't good enough, which is why The Last Jedi had some pretty cool fight scenes with the guards and Smoke or whatever his name is. But Solo really just didn't have any of those qualities. It didn't have the good story. That's why it's but it's ranked above The Last Jedi only because at least their characters were interesting, sort of. I'm really saying sort of here because these movies are absolutely awful. It's really hard because they should really all be tied for the worst movie in Star Wars history. Clone Wars movie is something I don't actually remember. It has been a long time since I've watched this Clone Wars movie. So I'm just going to put it in haven't seen. And if I would watch it, it would ruin my point of view of the Clone Wars show, which its animation got better. This animation style was okay, but it got better overall, and I just don't want to watch something with that animation. And while I'm at it, let me put all the shows I haven't watched. Here we go with this show. Star Wars Resistance. Didn't even know I knew this one existed. And then Star Wars Forces of Destiny. I knew both of these shows existed, just didn't want to watch them. They looked like children's shows, and that's what they are. They're children's shows. But Clone Wars and Bad Batch are an exception, as Clone Wars was amazing, so that's why I watched Bad Batch. Okay, now we only have TV shows that I will actually rank, and we'll start from the bottom and then move back to the top because I just want to rank this at C tier where it absolutely deserves to be. Star Wars Visions was an amazing idea. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, what? Star Wars the anime? What the frick? Star Wars isn't an anime. And of course, that's what I assume other people's reactions were. It would actually feed the anime community. But that's not exactly what it went for. It went for something different. It went for I think 9 different storylines, right? There's nine storylines for short episodes, and some storylines were clearly better than others. Frick you, Toby. Not my younger brother, Toby, but the episode TOBY. Just kidding, TOBI. It's about a robot Jedi who can use the Force, which doesn't make sense, but then you can make the excuse, oh, it's in a different universe, or oh, this robot's sentient. First of all robots are basically sentient in this universe. And stop trying to change the rules, which is why I prefer literally any episode other than that one, because they don't really change the rules other than that one episode 5, I think it was, where the twin siblings were there, and that episode was animated really well. I loved most of the animation styles that they had in the show. I can just say they did a fantastic job with their animations. Their stories, on the other hand, were extremely lacking, as you had one episode and the minimum of 10 minutes, the maximum of 24 minutes. And most of the episodes, guys, were 10 minutes long. So they basically had 10-minute episodes where they just had to explain a story super fast. Some stories were, again, clearly better than others, and some animation styles were clearly superior over others. But really, give me a season 2, or give me a season, like a different version of this where you're focusing on one character the full time. It doesn't have to be in the same universe. Could just be one of the characters from these episodes, or all of them. I don't care. I want to see what happens to some of these characters. I don't care about the music one. I don't care about Toby, Tobi. I don't care about some of these characters, but I would like to see a show where you have longer time to flesh out characters. Everything just goes by so freaking fast that I don't really understand what I'm supposed to feel about this show. Okay. We're getting back up to the second S tier, The Mandalorian. Here, I might be getting controversial here, but I loved The Mandalorian. Mando season 1 was amazing. You had the characters, the mysterious characters specifically, then Grogu, Baby Yoda, you know? You had characters, you had development. Season 2 was obviously not as good, but it still had its pretty good moments. Like, it was awesome. Even though it was a CGI Luke that was clearly CGI, it was awesome to see Luke Skywalker walk in through those doors, take out all of those guys. It was amazing. And same thing with Ahsoka Tano. I didn't know she survived past Star Wars Rebel clips that I have seen, but it was awesome to see that Ahsoka was still living and was with Luke. Okay. Here we go with our next B tier, Book of Boba Fett. Honestly, I could put this in C tier and call it a day, but I feel like that would be doing the show bad. As this show was actually, the last few episodes were definitely the best episodes in the series, and that's saying something because the last 3 episodes were mostly about the Mandalorian. The only reason I will put this at B tier is because the Mandalorian carried the show to the top, with the episode 5 and 6 being solely about Mando and Baby Yoda, and it ends off perfectly to show off Mando season 3. Boba Fett, on the other hand, was probably the most boring part about the entire show. He was such a mysterious character, and he was so cool for certain things, but they just sort of took out all of that mystery. The Tusken Raider parts were probably my favorite part of the Boba Fett side of the show, but they died, and they didn't even do anything with them other than, oh, the stick exists now, I guess. Okay, now we're moving into the Clone Wars. Our third and highest S tier. The Clone Wars is the best Star Wars content in the entire Star Wars universe. And you cannot change my mind. Star Wars, the Clone Wars, made Star Wars what it is now. It was amazing to see all of these different things. The Clone Wars was just a great show to move on into the Revenge of the Sith, because it even lines up by the final season. The final season being literally the best season. Having only one really boring, having one amazing arc and 2 okay arcs. I'm gonna say the Ahsoka arc with the freaking scrap people. I don't remember their names. But Ahsoka, that part of that arc was my least favorite arc. The Bad Batch arc being my second least favorite, and then the Siege of Mandalore. Oh, amazing! Darth Maul versus Ahsoka is some of the best things I've ever seen. It was great to see something so simple. Two characters that in this show they have progressed the furthest. Darth Maul has been the farthest progressing uh you know antagonist other than you know Asajj Ventress, but she went sort of good. On the other hand, Darth Maul really had a great role in these final episodes. I just wish to see more of him, and apparently we might be seeing more of him in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But then again, we had Ahsoka truly rising from bottom to the top on favorite character lists. She went from being super annoying, I want to smack you in the face because you just don't listen to anyone, to her having a 5 episode arc where that slowly changes. It might have gone late, but it was a genius idea to go worst to best character. Okay. Now we're here to talk about our next C tier. The Bad Batch. Of course, coming in at bottom C. Bottom C is the Bad Batch. I'm sorry, Bad Batch. I might be giving you a bad rep, but you are sadly the worst TV show out of all the TV shows here. Because your story was rushed. It never felt good. Cad Bane was in it, and Cad Bane did some cool and awesome things, but the ending was the only really okay part of the show. It started off like, okay, to why am I still watching this? To me, stop watching. To I personally stopped watching it, and then in the summer went, I better finish this, and finished it, and I was like, the last episode was okay, I guess, or the second last episode, really. And that leads us into another show. I watched the first 5 episodes in this and say this is the absolute worst content Star Wars has ever placed. I don't know. I'm not gonna ever watch this show. So you guys tell me if it actually gets good. But it's awful. The first 5 episodes are awful. I don't like this show. The idea of a lightsaber gun just baffles me that it exists. It's like the most anime thing, and even the Star Wars anime show did not have a sword gun. But that's really it. Thank you for watching my amazing tier list. This is, of course, the Star Wars tier list that I have personally made. If I missed anything, please tell me down in the comments. The chances of me missing things are very high, as this was just sort of a side project that I was going to do for a video idea this week because I didn't record enough, sadly. But yeah, hope you enjoy this. Bye.